hope that this weather of calmness extends throughout the rest of the day. I personally hope so. But regardless, good morning to you once again, and thank you for joining us. My name is Sage Babalola. Today is Tuesday, and as you know, information is what we bring to you every single day. At least that is our first priority as we get through every single day, so that you are informed and you're able to make decisions that align with the information that you have gotten all through the day. This is the Morning Express. We start at 5 a.m. and round things off at 11 a.m. before we transfer the baton of conversation to the afternoon crew. And we have, of course, begun the Morning Express at 7:41 a.m. and it's time for Trends in the papers. This is where we look through our dailies, the Guardian, the Punch, and the Vanguard newspaper, give you information about the stories that have been presented on the front pages, and of course provide you with analysis as well. And speaking of analysis, we're usually joined by our in-house analyst Fuad Said, who gives us an insight into these stories. My name, of course, is Sage Babalola. Fuad, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Sage.
How are you doing today, Fuad?
Every week.
I'm happy. Why do you sound like you are sad about it? We've been going through so much with the heat. Please, I'm very happy.
I know, right? Well, it's a good one. At least the heat has been so bad in the last few days. So, this is a website for Lagosians. I assume that maybe some other places too. At least a good one. The rains are coming this early. This is February. It's surprising that we have the rains now.
It's not surprising, Fuad. Many things have happened with the weather. It's not. We had Harmattan in January. So why would the rains in February be surprising? I don't think it's surprising at all. But it's all good. I think we disconnected with Fuad there a little bit, but we'll have him back on the line in just a few minutes. Anyways, I think he's back. Fuad.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, I was telling you that. Why are you surprised there are rains in February? We had Harmattan in January. We had
that's
in January. Yes, so it's not surprising.
Are you attributing that to anything?
I don't know.
Is it a Nigerian thing or a global thing?
If it starts to snow today, I will not be shocked. If it starts to snow in Nigeria, I will not be shocked.
Because is there anything local about? Is there anything local about this?
I plead the fifth. I will not be responding to any such questions. Thank you.
But it's a good one. But the rains are still falling heavily.
Yeah.
I think people should be a bit careful. Some parts of Lagos are flooded already. Some roads are heavily flooded as we speak. That's a report you're getting. But it's a good one. I think a good weather for people to achieve. Because again, the lights have not been available. Electricity has been very, very poor for a lot of Lagosians. So. Not a bad one. Really.
Not a bad
but
one.
People have to be careful because these places are flooded already. Drainages are covered up. And so for children who are going to school, parents, let's be a bit careful out there.
Well, you heard it. The roads are already slippery, and you know how we are when it starts to rain. Our very terrible behavior, our attitude when it comes to the rain. We start to dump our refuse in the gutters. Please, you have seen the consequence of doing this. At least last year should have taught us a lesson. So whatever desire you have to clog the drainages, I implore you to think about the many things that happened towards last year and refrain from doing such. Please, we beg you. You're not the only one that will suffer for this behavior. Tons of people will suffer for this behavior. Anyways, let's get straight into conversation for this morning. We have the Punch, the Guardian, and Vanguard. Like I said earlier, we're going to start conversations by looking at the front page of the Punch newspaper. Unfortunately, I do not have good news for anyone, at least according to this report. The Punch is reporting that Labour mobilizes for protest. Tanker drivers strike triggers fuel queues. The riders to the story: federal government meets drivers, filling station shut in Abuja, Kano, Ogun. Ipman urges dialogue. NLC adamant. Workers vow to join demonstration as Oyo protesters lament hunger. Now to the story in itself. We have here the organized labor on Monday began mobilizing its members for a nationwide protest slated for February 27 and 28 over the cost of living crisis in the country. Sources in the leadership of the NLC had told correspondents that the National Executive Council met via Zoom on Friday, February 16, to review the resolution of the National Action Council of the NLC. And rising from the crucial meeting, the labor unions agreed to demand the implementation of the agreement with the federal government without further delay. And the meeting held on Friday, February 16, 2024. Now, for this story just basically highlights the 14-day ultimatum that was given to the federal government to implement the content of the 16-point MOU or Memorandum of Understanding that was reached between the labor unions and the federal government. Although there was a virtual meeting that happened, but it doesn't seem like any reasonable resolution was reached, because the labor unions are still quite adamant that they're going to proceed with the 2-day protest on February 27 and February 28, despite the fact that there was a meeting. We were quite optimistic that maybe that meeting was going to yield a different body language from labor, but they're still insisting that they're going to protest. So that means that meeting was not necessarily beneficial to, or the labor did not necessarily agree with the position of the federal government, even though the federal government is saying that they have begun implementation of at least some items in the 16-point Memorandum of Understanding. Fuad, what would you say was maybe the proposition of the federal government in said meeting that has caused the labor to insist that they will go on that protest?
Well, I think the organized labor leaders have been clear as to why they want to embark on this 2-day strike and protest. After giving the 14-day ultimatum, and basically what they have said is that, look, as far as October, there was an agreement between organized labor and the government, and a lot of those things in the agreement the government has not been able to implement. Even the ones they've tried to implement have been done, they've not been able to fully implement properly. So that's the reason they are giving for wanting to go on this 2 days protest. I don't know what the protest will achieve. Maybe to send some form of warning signal to the government. I know that, look, the 14 days, the government, if you sign an agreement in October, and this is February, I have not been able to implement. I doubt if the government would have been able to do anything meaningful within 14 days, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to read the mind of labor leaders as to why they think this protest is very important. They're also talking about the possible strike, downing tools from 60 if their negotiations with the government does not achieve anything meaningful. But again, protest is part of labor conversations. It's also part of labor strategy to force their employers to do what they want them to do. So we just hope that, again, this protest will be peaceful and, of course, maybe for the organized labor to at least achieve the purpose that they want it to achieve. But beyond all of that, I think we have a bigger crisis ahead. See,
yes.
We have a bigger one ahead, and that is the minimum conversation for me. Because again, at the end of the day, all of labor negotiations, resolutions at this time is about having what you call a living wage for their workers. In light of the current economic predicament we found ourselves, in light of the fact that look, inflation is now at 29.9%, that's the official figures we're getting from Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. In light of the fact that look, every other thing, food prices, commodity prices, prices of almost everything, even services, if you compare it to when the government took over in May 29, 2023, has almost tripled, if not gone 4 times.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So, I'm looking at how organized labor will be able to navigate this quagmire of having to find a way to negotiate with the government to achieve anything tangible and meaningful. Because again, the body language of the government, I might be wrong, the body language of the government at this time is not suggestive of the fact that they are committed to immediately resolving the problems on ground. If you understand what I'm saying, please.
Please allow me to interrupt you briefly. Speaking of the body language of the government, remember that NATO, the National Association of Road Transport Owners, they are also currently on strike, and it has seen many filling stations shut down across different states in the country. Well, the federal government did order oil marketers to negotiate with NATO to avert the tanker drivers' planned suspension of operations, and that is how they have decided to address this. Oil marketers negotiate with these tanker drivers and be able to reach some sort of compromise where both of you are able to maximize profit. What do you say?
Well, the thing is that the oil marketers know that, look, without these tanker drivers, they can't get supply. and it's as good as closing business. Or because again, the marketers cannot on their own get the supply from the depots and all of that, so they have to still find a way to move this product from the depot to their retail outlet. So the negotiation is just, I think, it's still keeping them in business. But the conversation around the tanker drivers down in Seoul is the cost of running their own operation. Say, they are talking about diesel cost.
Yes.
Say today, the figures you are getting for a liter of diesel is about 1,400 per liter. That's unbelievable. In fact, facility managers, people who would have to run facilities and maintain them now using diesel, are complaining bitterly about the cost of running their services. And that's what these tanker drivers and truck drivers are talking about. At least we can't be in business if we are buying diesel. If we are buying diesel at 1,400 naira per liter, or even above it, depending on where you are buying it from. That's probably even in Lagos. And then apart from that, even the cost of maintenance, the cost of maintaining their truck now.
Yes. Even the tires. They were complaining about price of tires as well.
Look, the tires we used to buy, if you ask any vehicle owner now, they will tell you what it takes now to maintain a car. What it takes to maintain a car now is unbelievable. Tires we used to buy, there's hardly any Nigerian that buys a brand new tire, except for the elitist, the so-called bourgeoisie of our political class. The salary car was like, we buy Tʀᴇ tires. If you understand what I'm saying.
I'm with you, Fred. Yes, I'm with you.
Oh, you don't believe what I'm saying?
I don't believe you. That's why I say, you are no. Please don't be famsing.
But for people who know, who understand what I'm saying, we buy Tʀᴇ tires. The Tʀᴇ tires we used to buy for 7,000, 8,000 naira. Say now you'll be getting it for 19, 20, 22,000. Tʀᴇ tires. Parts, small parts, to maintain your car, even to service a car. In the past, to do your regular servicing, which you probably do every 3 months,
right?
That will cost you maybe like 10,000 naira in the past. Now you have to spend almost like 30,000 naira to do a proper servicing, to buy engine oil and all of these other things that you use to service your car. So things have gone crazy. So I can understand what the truck drivers are saying to even maintain their truck. So it's all muddled up. We are not in a very good place. Let me just say it that way. I don't know how the government will set it, because whatever the marketers are doing with the tanker drivers now, it's just a temporary thing. It's a temporary thing. And that's why people are saying that, look, the government must come to the reality of the present moment and not continue living the illusion that, it is darkness before dawn. The darkness you have gone into now is not showing that any dawn is coming anytime soon. And people are saying that, look, whatever you think you're promising, people have to be alive to witness what you are promising. People are dying already. Businesses are closing already. Businesses are shutting down. Yesterday, Sandra was telling me that people are already having suicidal thoughts.
Of course.
But somebody sent a message to us, and it was a coded message that, look, because of the conditions of the country, he's already thinking about committing suicide. And I assume that a lot of Nigerians are already having that, even though we have to appeal that, no, that can never be the solution. It should not even cross your mind. That's why I keep saying that, look, this is the time for Nigerians to begin to help one another. But the government has to wake up to do the right thing. This crisis was aggravated by the lack of planning of the government in implementing the company rural policy and the floating of the naira and the dollar. Experts have said it severally, and the government must own up to the fact that they messed up in this mess and do something quickly to arrest the situation. To get it out of that thing.
Well, the Punch is reporting that in a related development, the Apex Igbo Socio-Cultural Organization, or Ohaneze Indigbo Worldwide, on Monday called on Igbos across the country to shun any form of protest against the administration of President Bola Tinubu over the current economic crisis. Ohaneze also rejected any move for military rule again in Nigeria, declaring total support for the administration of Tinubu to complete its tenure, adding that it would be in Indigbo's best interest that Tinubu complete his term in office. Well, this is just the position of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, because a lot of states, the NLC and TUC across the different states are showing solidarity that they are going to participate in the protest in different states. But Ohanaeze Ndigbo is advising that Igbos should not join the protest, and they should, of course, not encourage any military incursion of any kind, and they should support the president to at least go through his entire tenure. That's what the Punch is telling us. Do you want to comment on this?
You see what it is. Nobody's talking about military incursion. It's not even on the table. It should not ever be encouraged. It should not even be part of the conversation. I keep telling people, I'm not too young not to know what we went through during the military era. You know, of course, that conversation will continue to come. But for those of us that witnessed the recklessness under the Babangida government, as to how our government mismanaged our resources, the Gulf oil windfall. Look, I keep telling people, many people don't understand that, look, the fact that you even have the liberty to express yourself, the fact that you have the opportunity to speak truth to power, the fact that, you know, you have that freedom to be able to do some things, you cannot begin to think of the other. It's not even an alternative. In a situation where you cannot even express yourself, you can't question anything, you have no right. Look, a lot of the things we are facing today, the foundation was laid under the military era. People may continue to argue this thing, but we know what we are talking about. If corruption was institutionalized under the military era, I'm telling you, and the two regimes that institutionalize corruption, anybody can take us on that. The records are there, the facts are there. The Babangida government and the Abacha government institutionalize corruption seriously in this country, and we are still battling with that consequence. That was the era where we got it completely wrong. The path to failure, destruction of the country was laid by those two military leaders. And so when people begin to say, look, we understand that our democracy has its own challenges, and it will continue to have its own challenges. And the best thing we can continue to do is to continue to ensure that we speak truth to power, continue to call our politicians to do the right thing. I know what I'm saying, because people will come to me, we understand that, look, democracy, the way we practice it at this time, has not given us what we want. There cannot be an alternative to democracy thinking about military government. What we should say is that, look, support organized labor, support independent media like ourselves, which is also ensuring that the government does the right thing by calling them out, by speaking truth to power. We'll continue to, even in the best democracy, they have their own challenges.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that the American democracy would produce a person like Donald Trump? Against all intents and purposes, who would have thought that as sophisticated as America is a democracy, he would have been able to produce a Donald Trump who has no respect for institutions, who has no respect for anything, who has no respect for even their democracy. We grew up new in America's democracy that look when people contest, even before the final tally of votes, the other person is congratulating the other person. Until today, Donald Trump did not know that it has not accepted that he lost the last election. He didn't even congratulate the winner. So it means that, look, our democracy will keep evolving. Our democracy will keep having its own challenges. Let us play our own part. If you want to protest peacefully, speak truth to power. Let's continue to talk about electoral reform to get our electoral process better. But for us to slide back into thinking of military regime, I think people don't even have their facts as history right. Look, when we talk about Dubai, Qatar, and some of these other countries, that was the same era Nigeria was making good money from oil. What did we do with that money? Ask the military guys who are in power at that time. The cumulative of 13 years, 5 years of Abacha, 8 years of Babangida, took us back, and also set the foundation for the failure we are seeing now. Even though our politicians are not also learning good lessons, but we can continue to tell them the truth. We can continue to ensure we keep them accountable. But for us to begin to think about those other alternatives, I'm sorry, it does not just work, and it will never work. And therefore, you know my position when it comes to organizations like this, whether it's Afenifere or Anizi or Arewa. I always tell you that, look, I'm more about the individuals and what affects us as a people. I always say, for example, I'm a Yoruba boy, and I'm sorry, Afenifere will not speak for me. And Afenifere that was not even be able to sort out its own internal leadership crisis will not speak for me. I'm sorry. I speak for myself. And I think other people too will speak for themselves. Or I need a lot of these, I'm sorry, by my own understanding, is that people also have their own ulterior motives. When they make statements, the positions they take, if you check very well, when you raise the thing up, you see some aligning things they are looking for. if people think that, look, they are going to go with what Ohaneze is saying, so be it. And if they want to take their own decisions on the constitution of the country, so be it. But I'm sorry, I won't take any of those organizations serious at this time. Because over the years, I've seen that, look, a lot of times when they take positions, there are ulterior motives to it. The fact is, as at now, Nigerians are suffering. And the position that a lot of well-meaning Nigerians are taking at this time is that, look, the government has to do something about the suffering in the land. That's my position too.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Fuad, for your analysis. This is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Before we move on to other stories, I should announce that we are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So please be a part of the show via our social media platforms, specifically Facebook and YouTube, where we stream all of our live shows. So you can join us there, and you should know that an added advantage is that you can actually drop your submissions real time. As we're going through each story, you can use the live chat option of these streaming platforms and drop your contributions, so that when it's time for us to start taking public opinion, we can always go back and refer to the messages that you had dropped. So please check us out on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. That's how you search for us, and you would immediately be connected to us. Don't forget to follow us on X as well. We are on X at Mainland FM. Moving on to other stories on the front page of the Punch, we have here 50 Niger Republic bound food trucks intercepted in Zamfara. 50 Niger Republic bound food trucks intercepted in Zamfara. That's the a headline rather. Now, 50 trucks conveying foodstuffs out of the country to Niger Republic were intercepted on Monday by Zamfara State Transport Agency. The agency, which was enforcing a presidential directive meant to arrest the food crisis and hoarding, grounded the trucks loaded with assorted grains. President Bola Tinubu last Thursday had ordered the trio of the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, the Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun, and the Director General of the Department of State Services Yusuf Bichi to collaborate with state governors and go after those hoarding food. Ford, we have a situation where, despite the food crisis that we're going through in the country, food sellers are still hoarding and also secretly transporting grains out of the country, and 50 of said trucks were intercepted in Zamfara State. We have stakeholders, in that sector that are saying that the food marketers are one of the major causes of this crisis, because they are in a way disrupting the domestic supply chain of food. What they do is that they hoard this, they sell in large quantities, secretly to our neighboring countries, so that they can make more money and benefit from the forex crisis that we're going through at this time. So I really want you to speak to the fact that, because as you know, this food crisis is a multi-dimensional problem, what we're going through at this time, and everybody in a way is playing a role in this problem that we're going through, and these wholesalers are believed to be playing the role by secretly sending the insufficient food that we already have in the country to neighboring countries as well. I'm trying to reconnect with Fuad's side. Unfortunately, we disconnected from Fuad, but not to worry, when he gets back he would immediately get on that story. But regardless, you should be aware that 50 Niger Republic bound food trucks have been intercepted in Zamfara state. Although the conversation really has been that, is it a lack of food supply that is the problem, or the purchasing power of the people? So even if they are illegally or transporting this food out of the country so they can benefit from the forex crisis, amongst other things, is that really why people are not able to feed? Is it that the food is not available, so much so that they can send some out of the country, or people cannot afford to even buy the food that is available? So once we connect with Fuad, we will try to establish what the actual problem is, and then we can address this interception of the 50 trucks in Zamfara state. You can actually check this story on page 14 of the Punch newspaper. I think Fuad is with us now. Fuad.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes, did you catch this story?
Look, the trucks that were intercepted in Zamfara going to the state.
Yes.
Well, again, we have our own food problem. So this is not the time. You can't be thinking of your neighbors when you are not self-sufficient, when you have not taken care of yourself. So I think our custom officers and all of that will continue to do their job. I don't know. I think there's always been this thing about moving food out of the country to Niger and vice versa too. I think sometimes you also have food coming from Niger to part of the country. So I don't know. I just think that, look, I don't know why we're making this a big deal, really. There's always been smuggling. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think people should come and say, oh, it's because of this one that we're having food shortage. You understand what I'm saying? Hello, say?
I'm with you, Fuad.
Because people will now say that, it's because of the smuggling, you see, we have excess of food. It's always been like that. Other towns, you have cross-border, trade relationship where people move things there and also bring in things. So, but if anything is being smuggled and it's against our laws or our correct rules and regulations, that should be stopped. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know the news, really, the big news from this. Other than the fact that, look, we also have our own food crisis, and there's not the time to move things, like food out of the country to neighboring countries. We should at least keep those food here, to solve our own problems.
All right, then, page 14 of the Punch newspaper, you find more information. We have here, Senate asks FIRS to suspend 17 trillion tax waivers. That's the story. Senate asks FIRS to suspend 17 trillion tax waivers. Now, the Senate, through its Committee on Finance on Monday, has frowned at the 17 trillion loss incurred by the country on tax waivers within the last 5 years. It consequently urged the Federal Inland Revenue Service to suspend the tax waivers being largely abused and substitute it with a rebating system. The Senate's objection to the allegedly abused tax waivers came to fore during the 2024 budget presentation of FIRS to its Committee on Finance. Fuad, you know that we have a common practice here, which was mostly born out of the desire to get foreign direct investment, where we decided to grant a lot of tax waivers, tax holidays, even allow some operators to function in the free trade zone just to encourage more investment. And now we're seeing that the beneficiaries of these tax waivers or tax holidays have started to abuse this, and it has caused the country to lose as much as 17 trillion naira. So now the conversation is maybe we need to suspend these tax waivers and substitute it with a rebating system where some sort of incentive is given, to the investor rather than just completely granting them tax holiday. What do you think about this particular initiative?
Yes, I agree with the Senate. We need to investigate the tax regime in the country. Because again, look, all over the world, you have situations where tax waivers are granted to, organizations, establishments as a form of incentive, investment incentives. Some of them are even doing these tax waivers to keep them in business. Some of them, to invest more within that economy. Some of them to take care of a lot of things. So it's not even anything new that you have tax waivers. Even though people would argue that in other clients, what you have is that people are taxed more. People who have the money pay more taxes to take care of the poor.
Yeah.
But again, like I'm saying, we now have a situation where everything that is supposed to engender development, that's supposed to engender economic growth, is now abused and then becomes a problem. The same thing, we abuse the subsidy regime. Now we have a problem with tax waivers now. So I agree with the Senate that, look, at least for now, let us even know what we are saying. Let people suspend all waivers. Yeah. Investigate what we have done so far, because you don't give waivers to people. Yes, maybe for investment purposes and all of that. But again, what are the benefits? What are you supposed to get from those kinds of waivers? Because the alternative would have been for you to collect your money and use the money to do what you actually want them to do for you or what you are expecting from them. So if we have granted all of these waivers and we're already seeing the tendency for abuse, and we're already seeing that we're not even getting what we're supposed to get from them, I agree with the Senate that, look, for now it should be suspended, and then we can begin to look at the bill. And if they need to pay, let them pay. Because now the government is even looking for money. So, but again, I'm saying that these things are not only problems. The way we do each other is a problem. And if it has become a problem, I think the Senate is spot on. Let's suspend, investigate, not know what we're doing, and then we can begin to see how we can look at maybe start with this, not complete waivers.
All right. Well, you can get more information on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. We're moving on to other stories right now on the front pages of the Punch. If you're just joining us, this is Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. My name is Sage Babalola. I've been having conversations with Fuad Said, and we've both been looking at the front page of the Punch newspaper. It's 10 minutes past 8. Please don't forget that we are live on Facebook and also on YouTube, where we're streaming the show live. So please do well to join us on those streaming platforms and drop your submissions in real time. We're still going to look at the Guardian newspaper and the Vanguard newspaper as time permits us. Now we're going to move to other stories on the front pages of the Punch. We have here Aso Villa, DHQ, CBN face disconnection over 47 billion naira debt. That's what's happening right now. Now, no fewer than 86 ministries, agencies, and departments of government are owing the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company to the tune of 47 billion naira. According to a public notice by the management of AEDC, the presidential villa owes the discos the sum of 923.9 million naira. The National Security Advisor owes 95.9 billion naira. The Ministry of the Federal Capital Territory, being supervised by Nyesom Wike, owes the sum of 7.57 billion naira, while Adebayo Adelabu's Ministry of Power is indebted to the tune of 78 million. Now, in a notice on Monday, the AEDC said it would be constrained to list the names of the MDAs with long outstanding unpaid bills for services rendered to them through the provision of electricity supply in previous attempts to make them honor their obligation, and it has not achieved the desired result. Forward, in a country where we're asking that electricity supply be made available for the general populace, we have those at the helm of affairs owing even the distribution companies billions of naira, which beats me, Forward, because all of the heavy appropriations to the maintenance of these structures, of these MDAs, operational fees, amongst other things, where exactly are you unable to pay your electricity bill? So what maintenance are you allocating or appropriating monies for exactly? What?
For personal maintenance, to maintain themselves.
I think your future to play.
Maintain yourself first. And you know they are not. You see, the thing is this: a lot of these public institutions, government institutions, don't feel compelled to pay electricity bills. If a military barracks, police station, they don't pay. They don't even bother. I was going to go and connect their lights. And any NEPA official enter a barrack.
Disco says they will disconnect, though, that they will not give them lights. That's what they're threatening to do. They said they will not give them light again if they don't pay.
Okay, maybe they will, but they can't go in there to do. Maybe there are other ways of connecting.
They will not give them light. That's what they said.
Well, if you are a disco official now, would you go into the barrack to connect them?
I will not do it. I know I will not do it.
No get mine.
I know, no.
But for the Aso Villa, I'm shocked. Even the Ministry of Power is not paying this code.
The Ministry of Power, you have not paid.
You know, they will tell you that I'm sure they have also things coming into power. And I'm sure they will tell you that it's a backlog. That it's not starting from then. It must have been a backlog from years back. But it just goes to tell you that, look, we are not a process-driven people. Because again, we have this heavy budget that goes into the ministry, parastatals, MBA. Why can't they pay the electricity bill?
Fuad, please allow me to highlight. I'm sorry. Allow me to highlight that Adelabu has actually spoken. His media aide spoke to correspondents of the Punch and said it wasn't true. That's at least since Adelabu assumed, position, he has not owed a single dime. So probably the money's being owed is like a backlog from the previous. That's what he said.
Even with ordinary Nigeria, if you move to a new house, for example, maybe a rented apartment, and you have a backlog. If you go to the distribution company, they will tell you to first clear the debt on ground before you start to pay new one. So Adelabu cannot say it's not owing when there's a backlog. He must first clear the backlog, unless maybe there's an agreement between him and the discos. And if there was that agreement, they will not list him as one of the debtors.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So this excuse of since he has come, he has been saying no. You first clear, that's the standard. A lot of us know this thing. Sometimes you move into a rented apartment, you have ꞵce on ground. You must first clear the ꞵce before you start paying.
Yeah.
Now what they do sometimes is that on your prepaid meter, as you are paying, they are removing that gradually from it. But I understand why the discos are doing this, because again we keep bashing them every day. We keep talking about their inefficiencies and their lack of capacity to deliver on the job. Whereas government that keep talking about the fact that these guys are not also working are not even paying them. I'm even sure that Aso Villa has not paid. What do we hold responsible now?
It shocked me. It shocked me. I don't know why.
Oh, that's the thing, really. For the You know, it's not for me. I don't think it's even new. This thing has always been there. Those institutions, a lot of them don't pay. You know, so I don't know how the disco to get their money. So are they going to disconnect power to Aston Villa now?
That's what they're saying. If they don't pay, they're going to have to disconnect. That's what they said. I'm just reading the reports to you. All the debtors. They said they actually had to name these people, hoping that, you know, it will force them to pay. That's why they had to start naming these people. And if they still don't pay, regardless, they will disconnect. Yeah.
And then the president will be in darkness. Or you generator.
Fuad, why? Please, I don't know why you're asking me this kind of question in the morning. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But that's the reality on ground.
Well, they'll find a way to, I don't know, maybe they will come into an agreement on how they pay. These monies are huge.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you guys will pay, they will not pay. Or they will not pay the lump sum. Maybe just find a way to continue to pay bit by bit until they clear the entire debt out. I don't know. But again, even the discos that are looking for money, they don't even deliver on their own part of
I know quality of service is also an issue.
The reason why some Nigerians don't even feel compelled to pay them. You know, apart from these other ones, the reason why we are surprised as why these institutions and, you know, parastatals are not paying is because, again, they get government appropriations to take care of this thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They shouldn't be owed because there are government money that go to them, you know, to pay these bills. But for Nigerians who have to sweat and sweat to make money to pay, the reason why some Nigerians don't feel obliged to pay the discos is because they don't get the service. And that's why the discos are also so reluctant to give people prepaid meter. Because they know that the service does not come, they don't get money.
But the estimated billing will ensure that in a way they still benefit.
Criminal.
Yeah.
It is criminal. That's what even NEC has said it. That it is criminal. You can't be giving people estimated billing. Look at even that word, estimated. Who estimates it?
Yeah.
What are the yardsticks for estimation?
Is EJ.
Imagine just to give them this amount. Maybe just one manager or somewhere after eating amala, we just look at the figure, give them 100,000. Or you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, the wife don't frustrate her. We just eat up.
Give them 1 million.
Give all of them 50,000.
This is on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. I want us to move on to other stories. There are quite a number of important stories across the different papers. But there's one here on the front page of the Punch that says cement manufacturers list conditions to crash spiraling prices. I beg your pardon. It says here cement manufacturers have agreed to bring down the price of the product from 10,000 naira to between 7,000 and 8,000 per 50 kg, provided some conditions are met. For the sake of summarizing, basically all they're saying that they can consider location. It depends on the place, or that's what will make them determine what the price is going to be. That's the condition in simple terms. It will be between 7,000 to 8,000 depending on the location. So now price would depend on location, on the area, on the economy of the state, in a matter of speaking, and that is the condition that they would consider to reduce the price of cement from 15,000 naira, which was the retail price for I think 2 days ago, to about 7,000 to 8,000. Yeah, so that's what they're saying. So it depends on where you're living. If you're living, although they didn't list the places and where the prices would apply, but it depends on where you're living basically. So you'll be buying for 7,000 or 8,000 naira, and that's that. About that. Before we move away from the Punch, a very sad news here. Lion
Just
Hills.
Just a minute.
Yes.
This issue of cement. Just a minute.
Yes.
Something has to happen. The government has met its manufacturers, and all of the excuses they give for me is complete bubu yaya. Complete.
Why?
The excuses they have given, I'm telling you, the excuses they have given, it does not justify this unbelievable increase in price of cement. They gave use of logistics, the cost of moving things around.
Yeah.
They even talk about smuggling. They gave about 3 or 4 reasons. But how does it justify the movement from 5,000 to 15,000? Whereas a lot of the materials that are used to produce cement are manufactured in the country and got sourced from the country. The problem I think we have in the cement manufacturing sector is a form of semi-monopoly. There's no competition. People will tell you that we have some manufacturers. The reality is that there is a form of semi-monopoly. And whenever that person squeezes in that sector, everybody catches cold. I'm sure you know what I'm saying.
I'm with you.
And until we break that monopoly, I'm telling you, we'll continue to have this problem. I knew when cement dropped from 1,500 to 3,000 because it's of scarcity, artificial scarcity, and then we're looking for cement up and down.
It's quite unfortunate. Again, we have disconnected from Fouad. I sincerely apologize. But please still join us on our streaming platform, Facebook and YouTube, where we're streaming the show live. You can join us, mainland 98.3 FM, whilst try to connect with Fouad. I was trying to talk about the story that happened in OAU, the unfortunate death of the, I'd like to call him the zookeeper, the OAU veterinary worker. Yes, let me call him that. The OAU veterinary worker who died whilst he was trying to feed the lions. Unfortunately, he was killed by the wild cat, and a lot of condolences have poured into his family, and we really hope that the Lord grants his family the fortitude to bear the loss. But that's that about the Punch newspaper. Thank you so much for going along with us, and now we're about to move to the Guardian newspaper at this time. Fouad.
Yes.
Okay, would you like to round off your submission on that cement?
So I think something has to be done with the issue of cement.
Yeah.
Nothing those cement manufacturers have said justifies what we are seeing in the way the prices are raising in recent times. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
So it's just that there's a form of semi-monopoly going on, and people are just doing what they like to do. And that's what you have when there's no balance, when there's no real competition in a sector like that. And then for the man that lost his life, I think Mr. Olavide in at 𝗃𴏆, right? State. Very, very unfortunate. I saw the videos. I saw comments of how the man has been so much dedicated
it's been 10 years.
His job. 10 years doing his job, taking care of these animals. But look, these animals are called wild animals for a reason. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They are wild because they can turn on you.
They can't be domesticated. You can't domesticate a lion. It's not.
You can't even domesticate them. So when you deal with them, it's unfortunate that this has happened. We hope that his family, would be able to get out of this, because the authorities, the US authorities, have said they told his wife and his children of what has happened. We saw how his colleagues were willing and really, distraught about what has happened. These things have to be even dogs. I keep talking about dogs.
Yeah.
Even dog, you can't. Some people say this dog cannot bite, but the dog has a teeth.
I don't believe.
Don't worry, cannot
don't
bite.
worry, no. Are you
bite.
Are you in his mind? I will not be.
Are you in his mind? Don't worry. The dog is playing with you. Which dog is playing with you?
God forbid.
And most of these dogs are also crossbreed. They've crossbred them with wild animals.
Yes,
they're not the normal dog. Yes. All these are out there that we know. these ones that people are crying up, and now these big ones with a very big head. Some of their heads are even bigger than that of the lion. And then people put them at home, and then you go there and say, no, you can't bite you. You just play with you.
It's very unfortunate, actually.
It's unfortunate what had happened. The authorities could also have to answer some questions. I'm sorry.
Safety precautions, right?
No, the authorities will have to answer some questions.
All right.
I really don't want to go into all of the details of that now, but safety measures for having a zoo, you would have to answer some questions as to what had happened.
All right, that story is on page 4 of the Punch newspaper. Now we're about to segue to the Guardian newspaper. Fortunately, most of the stories that we addressed on the Punch are also being replicated on the front page of the Guardian, so we don't have to go through it again. But stories that were not on the front page of the Punch, we have here for the Guardian. Naira drops to new all-time low at black market. Trades at 1,730 Naira to a dollar.
It's unbelievable.
EFCC raids BDC operators in Abuja, arrest 50. I had to highlight that as the response to this increase. So EFCC has raided BDC operators in Abuja and arrested 50. But for the reality now is that on the black market, 1,730 Naira per dollar. For the projection for 2,000 Naira to a dollar was December of 2024. This is February.
Who is projecting 2024 to December? We already said it that the way we are going, even before the fourth quarter of the year, we are going to hit 2,000.
1,730 Naira on the 20th day of February.
Before the end of March. Today we are going to eat 2,000. It's a free fall. And okay, when you rate the BDCs, what would that stop? What are you rating them for? You see, that's why we say that, look, instead of scratching the surface and shading shadows, face the real truth and solve the problem. If that is not the problem, you are shading shadows, you are rating BDC. The same way they say there's food scarcity, you say it's audit, and you are breaking warehouses. Is that the problem? I don't know of a government that keeps shading shadows, but I'll sit down to identify what the problem is and then commit to fixing the problem. See, where we are going, I'm sorry, they call for the job and they have to fix the problem. It's unbelievable, say. It's unbelievable.
Fuad, on the official market is 1,498.25 naira to a dollar on the official market, according to the
look at the margin. The margin now even would encourage a lot of speculation.
I will never understand the gap between the parallel market and the official rate after an attempt to unify these rates. It's ridiculous that even after making conscious effort, even when we were not attempting to unify, the margins were not this great. But after making an attempt to unify, we're now seeing margins as high as this one. It beats me.
You see, that's why we keep saying that, look, the president made a mistake, and they must accept that they made that mistake. You don't make policy statements without having the fundamentals and the structure to implement properly. You don't just make statements because you want to make a statement. How well do you even understand the problem? Do you have the structure in place to mitigate the effect of the policy you are announcing? That's what we are saying. When you attempted to unify, look, the __are going to come after you. The saboteurs are going to come up. The speculators are going to come up. So that's why when you have to make sensitive policies like that, you understand the problem, you dissect it, put a structure in place to take care of what will come out of it. And that is why we are saying that, look, those two policies are announced by this government was never thought through. There was no plan. And that's why we are in this mess. What's the plan now to address this fall? Mr. Yemika also looks lost anytime he talks. He appears as somebody who wants to solve the problem. But when he talks, you are afraid that he may not really have the solution to the problem. Or he doesn't have the willpower to really go into the problem and fix it. So, we are talking about 2006. I'm sorry, God forbid. Before the end of 2024, we are not going to be talking about 5,000 to $1. I'm sorry.
I don't even want to imagine the economic consequences of that kind of exchange rate. I don't want to imagine it at this time. Well, Fuad, more woes for Nigeria, unfortunately, as the IMF is projecting that our inflation figure might go as high as 44%. It's a report in The Guardian. The virtual copy of The Guardian newspaper is not on the front page, but then the IMF is saying we are approaching 44%. Remember, we're currently at 29.90%, and it was a lot of God forbid, but we're looking at 44% inflation rate. Also, our unemployment rate has risen by 5% in the third quarter of 2023, according to the NBS. So we saw a 5% increase in unemployment figures last year, the third quarter of last year. For the combination of all of this back-to-back economic, I don't even know the right word to qualify it. I don't know what is going to happen to business owners. I don't know what's going to happen. Well, that's it for The Guardian newspaper. Unfortunately, we cannot go through every single report on the front page of The Guardian newspaper. But for Vanguard, very briefly, Forex crisis, 2024 budget suffers major dislocation. Benchmark exchange rates now half the value. Revenue expenditure estimates unrealistic. Analysts see profligacy pushing up deficit to 20 trillion naira. So definitely a supplementary budget is going to be in the talks.
What's the entire budget? What's the entire budget?
28.
2024. 28. Look, what this report is saying is that, look, we may be dealing with a deficit of our 20 trillion
for a 28 trillion
because of the reality of all of these crises we are saying.
Okay.
So it's not even about supplementary budget. We don't even have the money to fund that budget. And that's even a reckless budget of unnecessary spending, useless spending. I don't know. Say that when we say we are not in a good place, these are the things we are saying.
Fuad, we actually have to go, unfortunately. It's more reports here, but thank God we're coming back for Mainland Focus. At 8:40, we'll be back to have more intense conversations about these headlines. Apologies, we were not able to get through every single report. We are racing against the clock. My name is Sage Babalola. This is still the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM. Please stay with us. After these commercials, we'll be back for more conversations on Mainland Focus.
Clock the time. Meals have a way of taking us on a journey, and when you add plenty of vegetables like efo, ugu, and season with the rich taste of Knorr seasoning cubes, even better.
So, go ahead and elevate your meals with more vegetables and the rich taste of Knorr cubes. Today, eat for good.
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC.